I'm excited. I'm glad everyone is coming back to join us today. Today, we will be covering the topic of wage and hours. Yeah, you're in for a treat. Yeah, let's get started. For starters, congratulations. Ring the bell. You are officially a job creator. Welcome to L&I's Wage and Hour Rules. In Washington, there are a lot of rules about wages and hours, and I do mean a lot of rules. These rules are administered by the Washington Department of Labor and Industries, also known as L&I. These rules are designed to make sure workers are fairly compensated for their work and not overworked. Let's start with the topic of wages. In Washington, the minimum wage is currently $15.74. That's an increase up from last year. That means you must pay employees at least $15.74 for every hour that they have worked. An annual cost of living adjustment is announced every September for the next calendar year. Keep it on your radar. Employees must be paid for all work performed at the rate agreed upon with their employer. This rate can be an hourly wage, salary, flat rate, a piece rate, a commission, or a combination of different options, as long as it's not less than the minimum wage. Just 1 second, we got a message coming in. Okay, let's pick back up. And do feel free, if you have additional questions, utilize the chat, put them in the chat. And if you're not comfortable dropping them in chat, it's too public for you, feel free to direct message me. And I would love an opportunity to answer your questions. And just so you know, I am in a position in where I can reach out to labor and industry directly and get some of your questions answered. So I encourage you, anything that comes up, please just jot them down and feel free to reach out to me here at Center for Inclusive Entrepreneurship or to any of the business advisors on the team. We'd love to help. All right, here's something to take note of. Hours worked is defined as all hours during which the employee is authorized or required, known or reasonably believed by the employer to be on the premises or at a prescribed workplace. Employers cannot use tips or service charges in place of wages. Tips and service charges belong to the employees and cannot be used to replace wages. Payment must be made at least monthly on a regular scheduled payday. Regular now. Payment can be made by cash, check, or direct deposit, or any other means, as long as there is no cost to the employee. Employers cannot withhold wages. However, employers can deduct. Deductions can include items such as federal income tax, Social Security, unemployment insurance, and workers' compensation. Washington paid family and medical leave premiums and CARES Act premiums. State mandated garnishments, payment for employer loans to the employee, and the employee's share of employer provided benefits. This is also a good little tidbit to note. Under no circumstances at all can gender be used as a reason for differences in hiring or wages. Employers must treat women equal to men, providing equal pay for equal work and equal access to career opportunities. And employers cannot ask applicants or employees for past wage information. Hours and overtime. Employees who work more than 40 hours per week are entitled to time and a half, which is about 1.5 times the employee's regular hourly rate. It's good to note that some states also require time and a half for hours worked over 8 hours in a day, but not in Washington. Note that there are special rules for public works projects. For public works projects, prevailing wage law requires overtime for any hours worked over 8 hours a day, unless there is a valid 4 to 10 work agreement, in which case overtime is required for any hours worked over 10 hours a day. Farmers beware. Overtime rules now apply to agricultural workers too. This has been a process that's been phased in year by year. And currently we're looking at about 48 hours per week in 2023. And in 2024, it's expected to go down to 40 hours a week. For purposes of the overtime rules, hours include required meetings, required trainings, and required prep time. By policy or agreement, it can also include travel time, wait time, show up pay, and on-call time. Breaks. Let's talk about it. Employees are entitled to 10 minutes of paid rest for every 4 hours worked and 30 minutes for meals for every 5 hours worked. These breaks can be unpaid as long as the employee is totally relieved of all duties. Let's talk about exemptions of overtime. Overtime exemptions. Some employees are exempt from the overtime rules. This is sometimes referred to as the white-collar exemption. It includes salaried employees with salaries exceeding a certain level. Currently, it's looking about $52,744 and potentially increasing sometime this year to $57,294. Let's see. For those individuals whose salaries are exceeding that certain level, who have executive, managerial, or professional responsibilities, meeting all of L&I's duties tests is like mandatory, it's required. You must be aware. And these are the certain things that we can discuss on a one-on-one meeting. So all this information that you're hearing today, no matter where you're at in your business, let's have a one-on-one conversation about it and get to the meat and potatoes of where you're at and where you would like to be, because it's all about being aware so you can be able to be in compliance so there won't be any hiccups. And that's what we're here to do, support you. So yeah, I just encourage you to reach out. Take care not to treat someone as exempt unless you are sure they passed the duties test. Workers who do not meet the definition of an employee are not protected by overtime rules. These include independent contractors. Take care not to treat someone as an independent contractor unless you are sure they passed the independent contract test. We've heard this question before. Can you give someone comp time or paid time off instead of paying them overtime? The answer is no. Only public employees are eligible for time off instead of being paid overtime under federal law. However, you can adjust hours as long as this stays within the same 7-day work week. So for example, if an employee works 10 hours on a Monday, an employer could allow the employee to stay within 40 hours of the week by working 6 hours on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, but not the following week. You following me? Let's talk about record keeping. It's very important as an employer. Employers must maintain daily timesheets for all employees, signed by the employee and employee's supervisor. Employers must maintain records of all employees, wages, and hours for at least 3 years from the last day of employment, and make these records available to employees upon request. Let's talk about employee claims. Employees are entitled to make claims for unpaid wages. Employers cannot retaliate against employees for filing a claim. Good to know. What about paid sick leave? Washington's Paid Medical and Family Leave Act, also known as PFMLA, requires employers to provide employees paid sick time, which is outside the scope of today's workshop, but I would love to get into it. I'm telling you, reach out for that one-on-one. We went through a lot of information today, and I don't want you to walk away feeling like OMG, right? So if you have any questions, any burning desires, please reach out. We will be checking our inbox. We will be looking for those questions to come in so we can get the answers that you're looking for.